Bringing you your favorite new MCs, it's Dormville!
Yeah, okay. When they be judged off of merit, not the skin that I'm bearing as an artist. I really thought that would be apparent. I can't accept awards if it isn't truly deserved. That's an insult, and grading me on the curve. Now all of these award shows losing their
What's going on,
validity.
everybody? It's Dormville. I'm Mike Hood with my co-host.
Backstage Phantom.
And we're sitting down today with Monte. What's going on, man?
Yo, what's going on? What's going on, y'all? Just chilling. Just woke up not too long ago.
Yo, today we're gonna be
A little bit of a hangover.
today we're gonna be talking about Monte's album Free Think. It's a 31-track album, an hour and I believe in 11 minutes. But it's an hour and 11 minutes of your life that you are glad that you invested into that music, bro. It's phenomenal. It's thought-provoking. It's social commentary on what's going on in our world and what's going on with our that generation of kids that are coming up, and we're just gonna dive into that today. The first question that I have for you is on, I believe it's on one of the songs. You talk about kids are getting, everyone's getting a participation trophy and nobody's actually like having to compete. Like, can you elaborate on that feeling and why you feel like this is such a detriment to society?
Yeah, man. I noticed that the idea of the concept of winners and losers being like kind of suppressed, or because you can't necessarily eradicate it, because I think we're like competitive creatures by nature. So like even in efforts to try to suppress the concept of winning and losing, there's a competition with that, where this movement here is trying to suppress it and this movement here is making their efforts and trying to suppress it. So it's kind of like a contradiction within itself. But yeah, I think it's bad because I think that's because there has to be some type of embracement of like failure. Because my fault, somebody texted me. It has to be some type of embracing of like failure, so that like it literally is common sense. Like what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and I think we're getting away from that concept further and further, where it's like we're conditioning people to be weak. And I think there's I think there's somewhat I think that's what's causing a lot of kids to be like confused and not find their journey in life or whatever, because if you don't know how to embrace a loss, because it's inevitable you're going to embrace loss, and when it comes your way, if you don't know how to deal, it's just going to be catastrophe for that individual.
Facts.
Because yeah, because you got to know how to differentiate between what a failure is and what a win is, or what a loss is, what a win is, a failure and success is. And I think we're getting way too far away from that concept.
And then in the same song, you have a
Yeah.
bar that says, "I'm gonna be the victor, not the victim." Like, what inspired that line? Like, what made you say, you know what, fuck being this guy that's like taking all this shit from everybody. I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna be a victor rather than be like sit here and just take it. I'm gonna go and do something about it.
Yeah, it's a weird thing we living in, where it's like there's currency in being a victim. And I'm actually going to record another song speaking on that, where it's like I say everybody is competing to see who's the most oppressed, confusing being the worst with really being the best. And I think that's just like I don't understand this competition of like, let's see who could be who could see let's see who could be the first to lose or whatever. I look at it as like there's a race being had, and everybody, instead of trying to win the race, everybody's trying to be the first to lose. And it's just I don't understand why that's being like a idea that's being praised today. Like let's see who would be the best victim rather than the best victor. And I don't know, and I think it's being shamed that whoever makes attempts to be a victor is somewhat being shamed in a way. And I just think that's just a detriment to society. I don't I don't see that as favorable at all,
Yo,
from my standpoint at least.
I mean, earlier this week, we were talking about healthy habits of being a college student in one of my classes, and well, the teacher was like, how many people get 8 hours of sleep? I raised my hand. I was the only person in my class. And I was like, bro, like, what are y'all doing? And everyone was like competing, like, oh, I only get 6 hours. I get 3 hours. Well, I didn't even go to sleep last night. Like, and they wanted to turn that into a comp. I said, bro, what are y'all doing, bro? Like, how are y'all up there? And they're like, well, I drank 2 Red Bulls today. I'm like, yo, that's not healthy, bro. Like, I was like, I woke up, did my calisthenics, and I came to class. I don't know what y'all are doing. I'm over here, ate breakfast. Like you people would compete to be, oh, well, you know, my body's failing. And I'm like, wait a minute, that's not right, you know?
Yeah. There's like everybody's trying to get social points, and like everybody's trying to put numbers on the scoreboard to see who has it worse, and it's like I don't understand why is that? Why is the and that's my thing. There's competition of trying to be the worst, and I don't understand why that's being like a praised thing. Like literally what you just said. Yeah, I got less hours. Like I realize there's more, not even more. There's comfort in complaining about a problem rather than solving it, and it's just. I guess that's somewhat part of our nature too, but like it's only so long that can happen to where people just come to their senses like, all right, what the hell are we doing?
And in that same
Yeah,
vein, it feels like there's a lot of people who want to compete with like mental illness, like, oh, I'm way more depressed than you. I blah 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 blah, and then somebody else just comes under that thread, say it's Twitter, and they're like, oh no, you don't know anything about depression, you see, because blah 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 blah. And I'm just like, guys, you should probably, actually be seeing somebody about this, and instead of wearing your depression or like any sort of mental illness like a badge, you should probably go like, oh, this is an issue and it can get pretty bad. I should be like trying to forward my mental health and like get better instead of like wallowing in it.
yeah. It's like everybody's it's like a pond of depression, and everybody's
Yeah.
trying to be the first to dive in and hold their breath in, and like even that analogy is like it's only so long you can hold your breath before you basically die. Like why is everybody in a race to the bottom, and like the further you get into the bottom, they try to even dig deeper, and it's just a bottomless pit that the further you dig yourself into that type of hole of like competing to be the worst or seeing who has it the worst, when you finally realize like, all right, I need to get out this hole, but you dig yourself so deep in that hole, it's like you look up, it's like shit,
Facts.
I don't even know where to begin now. Like, but yeah, that's I think that's a I mean, I don't mean to be reductive, but that's just a dumb concept. And I think it's being facilitated by society. Like everybody's just everybody's encouraged to complain about something rather than solving it, or just encouraged to be strong to get themselves out of it. And yeah, I think that's facilitated with Twitter. You get
Yeah.
retweets, you get views on YouTube. It's like, oh my god, everybody feels sorry for me. It's like a pity party, the sympathy points, and yeah. Um,
And
so I try to combat that as much as I can.
with, with that, you say in one of your songs that it's hard for you to become socially correct because anytime you go on Twitter, you're not allowed to talk about what you want to talk about, being a black male or being like, well, this is what I'm going through, but everyone wants to attack you because it's not like politically correct. How did like what issues have you come across that people have attacked you on that?
Yeah, first of all, I don't even go on Twitter. I have a Twitter, but I haven't been on it in a long time, and because I noticed Tw- Twitter's just not a place to have a real nuanced conversation. Like it seems like from what I see, every point of view is extreme. Every point of view is either this or that. There's no in between, and it's just I don't. You talk about mental health. I don't think Twitter is good for mental health at all. It's just like it kind of encourages you to get angry or whatever. I remember I got into one debate. This was it's probably like 2016. I got into one debate, and just your words can be so taken out of context that quickly on Twitter because it's it's hard to read emotion when you're reading a tweet.
Yeah.
You don't know the emotion that's backing it or whatever, so you never get the full context of what the person is trying to say. So
Right.
I stay away from Twitter. I don't even go on Twitter. But as far as what you said, you asked me about how do I feel about like political correctness.
Right.
or have I ever tried to been shut down?
Right.
Um, so luckily, I haven't really had to deal with anybody really trying to shut my opinion down or whatever. I guess that'll change I guess the higher I get on the music hierarchy or whatever. But I remember I went to some poetry event and the topic of it was like a group discussion at this poetry event, and the topic was cultural appropriation,
Mm-hmm.
and it was the question was about a a, a white woman and a black man, and they get married. And is it okay if they have a son? Is it cool for that son to wear a dashiki? Is that cultural appropriation? And uh, so my answer to that was, well, culture isn't dictated by skin color. It's dictated by environment, upbringing, where you're raised, fashion, music,
Right.
essentially environment or whatever. And boy, I remember everybody was like, "Oh, oh." So it was kind of hilarious or whatever. But I mean, I was defending my point pretty well. I was like, "Hey, we shouldn't be judging culture, and culture doesn't align perfectly with skin color. Like those are two separate. Like a kid who's raised in the suburbs has a different experience from the kid who's raised in the urban city,
100%.
whether they're both black or both white. There's different experiences, so they're introduced to different cultures. And what was so surprising, like if it was probably like 2 years ago, I probably wouldn't have said anything. Like, no, let me keep my mouth shut because you everybody would be quick to say, well, you're this, so you got to think this way. But what was so surprising afterwards, um, a lot of people came up to me and was like, "Hey, man, hey, I feel the same way." I'm like, "Hey, I think the same way you just thought or whatever. I'm just scared to say it or whatever." And I was like, "Wow, there's a lot more people that agree with that than you would think." And one thing I learned is to just to tell the truth or at least don't lie. That's a rule that I got from this psychologist Jordan Peterson, and and he said you'll be surprised how the world will open up to you if you just tell the truth. So after the event, when people kept coming up to me, I was like, wow, people like really agree with me more than I thought. And then some other lady said that a lot of Africans don't like when African Americans wear the dashiki because they see it as cultural appropriation, which kind of brought some type of validity to my point. Like, hey, culture isn't about skin color; it's about environment, upbringing. So what? So I thought that was a cool experience that day.
Yeah. Also, you talk about in Random Thoughts, you talk about how Kendrick got backlash from Shea Butter Twitter whenever he said that he wanted a natural woman. Like, you, I'm pretty sure everyone that's listening to this like knows what happened, but like just the sensitivity of the situation. Like, how did you like interpret that? Like, for you to put it in music, it
Yeah,
obviously impacted you.
yeah. Yeah, it was like because from a song "Random Thoughts," and literally I was at work one day, and when I heard that story and he was getting backlash, Kendrick Lamar from Shea Butter Twitter, I never thought Kendrick. I literally thought in my head, I never thought Kendrick Lamar would get backlash from Shea Butter Twitter because he's sort of like I guess you could say a spokesperson for Shea Butter Twitter, like he's the
Conscious
conscious
guy, yeah.
rapper or whatever. So I never thought when I heard the song, because he was talking, it was a song "Damned." He said that in where he prefers basically natural women over girls who get butt injections or. And when he got backlash, I'm like, why are people getting mad at him for having a preference? Like he's not allowed to have a preference, and he's not telling women to, hey, you should do this and you do that. All he's saying is, hey, this is what I like. So what? I was like, what the hell is wrong with giving his preference on what he prefers? Like, why are people so up in arms about that? And that literally was on my mind all day. And I was like, all right, time to write a verse about it. So it was literally a random thought.
Is that how you go
I
about?
might do a random thoughts too.
Bet, yo, that'd be dope. Is that how you write a lot of your music? Is just like you have a thought, you're like, okay, let me jot this down, and then I'll work it into a song, or is it more of a sit down? This is the idea. This is what I'm gonna write about process.
Yeah. So it's either I guess when I'm writing a song, I'm either going to be a song about self-reflecting, is talk about my life, my struggles, or whatever, or it's going to be something I heard about in the news that that probably frustrates me or bothers me. And I'm be like, okay, I'm gonna write about this because it just bothers me. And as far as sitting down, I don't necessarily sit down and have a writer's session. I usually just go about the course of my day, and I'll just be writing in my head as I'm just um, moving throughout the day or whatever. And I usually come back to it every other day to make sure it still sounds cool, whatever. And because if I sit down and try to rush the writing process, it won't be as good as they're like it just naturally happening as I'm just moving throughout the day. And yeah, so either something either bothers me and I'm gonna write about it, or I'm just self reflecting in a song. So
This is a huge jump back to the conversation, but back to the topic of mental health and all that. In one of your songs, you talk about being self-aware. Is there like any method that you use to like come to that, like meditation or yoga or something like that?
um so I think it's I've been thinking about this for a minute as far as self awareness and what leads people to be more self aware than others. Um so I'm an introvert, so I like spending a lot of time by myself, and I have my few set of friends that I hang out with. But other than that, I'm probably going to be by myself most of the time.
Right.
And I think yeah, and I think that leads me to be very self-aware because I'm constantly in my head having conversations with myself, or probably looking back in retrospect at certain things that I've done and asking myself, well, what could I've done better? Or because it's three principles I try to operate off: self-awareness, humility, and understanding. And self-awareness, I think, is like almost having a navigational guide through life. Like if you know your personality type, who you are and who you're not, what your weaknesses are, what you're good at, what you're bad at, that can help you like direct. That can just help direct you in life on where to go and save you from so many unnecessary detours. And so I guess being by myself, like, well, enjoying to be by myself allows me to just think a lot. And plus, I do a lot of songwriting, so that allows me to put my thoughts down and just constantly contemplate with myself and just. But I think I did a personality test, Myers Briggs. Have you guys ever heard of
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, when I did that personality test, that actually was like a trait described in my personality test outcome, where it says I'm an introvert and I'm constantly having conversations with myself. So I think it's certain personality types that will lead towards somebody being more self-aware than others. And of course, the extrovert, they're going to spend more time with in social environments, so they kind of spend more time getting to know other people than getting to know themselves. And but yeah, self-awareness. I think, yeah, and like you said, I think that helps with mental health issues too, because it just saves you so many unnecessary, like I said, unnecessary detours in life that can just give you guidance or help direct you. So
Yo, you said one of the other principles that you try to live by is understanding. Is that like understanding of other people's ideals and what they go through and how to interact with them, or understanding of just the environment that you're in?
yeah, yeah, definitely having an understanding of just humanity and how different people are. Like just having just to know that other people are going to look at life differently than you, and move differently. Just like I understand that there's a difference between introverts and extroverts, and even within those fields, they break apart into different types of introverts and different types of extroverts. So just knowing that, even with my friends, like all my friends, we kind of differ in a lot. And so when me and my friends get into like debates and stuff, like cool debates, not arguing, it gives you an understanding of how different people look at the world and see things. And when I when I see somebody having a different point of view than me, I say, okay, they must see the world differently than I do, and instead of it saves you from so much headache and like questioning and wondering why things are, and just understanding, hey, this is humanity. It's and a big part of like what helps us operate in the world is our nature, and that can only be tempered so much. And so it just saves you having understanding. It just saves you from so much headache and wondering and questioning why things are.
Yo, that's like, to be
So
honest, me and Mike, like, we'll have conversation. Like, we had a conversation. I want to say I keep throwing like 2 weeks back because I have terrible concept of time. I'm like, oh yeah, everything happened 2 weeks ago. But we talked about that 2 weeks ago. Like, I have a complete, like, my life that I like my entire life has been just filled with like a myriad of different people from different cultures. Just because I lived in a military town, and then I used to move, and like I had friends that moved, and so it's like I have that mindset of, oh yeah, people are gonna come in with all these different things. And then Mike has a different mindset of like, he got to live overseas, he got to live in the Middle East, he got to live, where else did you live?
Dubai, like Asia, stuff like that.
Like the
Places.
like, bro, you say it like it's like, oh yeah, bro,
oh
I just
shit.
lived wherever. But it's like those experiences, like they shape us so differently. So we'll just be talking about whatever, and I'm like, oh yeah, you don't see what I'm saying, because like you see it this way, but like think about it like this, and like to have those conversations, it makes us like, since we live together, it's like, yo, bro, like, I'm not trying to wake up and want to punch the guy that's like opening the door right next to me or like in the bathroom. Like, damn. So it's just like it honestly, like, it helps so much to be able to understand people, and I feel like that's a trait that a lot of people don't have. They have that like, I'm right mentality, or there's no way you could be right because I'm right. Like there's never a, well, why do you think like that? Like that question is never posed. A lot of people are scared to ask those questions, I feel like.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, that's yeah. Certain people feel as if they're right in everything they have to say. God, that annoys me so much. I have a song. We actually talk about that. I have a song, a virus called Groupthink, and that frustrates me so much when somebody thinks they are so right and cemented in their point of view that everybody else should be gathering around their point of view and holding it to the utmost or whatever. And it's like, no, everybody's wrong to a certain degree. Like
Yeah.
that has to, and that's just an understanding. Everybody's wrong to a certain degree. Nobody's perfectly right. And yeah, like you said, like people, especially different cultures and backgrounds, people being from around the world. Like I work at a mechanic shop, and one of the mechanics is an immigrant from Jamaica, and his point of view on life, man, he takes advantage of the opportunities in America. He's got involved in real estate. Like he sometimes, like, me and him have conversations. He'll just ask, like, why don't people take more advantage of this opportunity, like, in here, like, and that's just like having an understanding that, okay, this is somebody who comes from a area where there's less opportunity, and when they come to this place of an abundance of opportunity, they're going to see the opportunity differently than people who are born into the opportunity and don't realize it. So even just, you know, looking, thinking back on the conversations we have, I'm like, wow, he sees the world differently, whatever. And like the amount of gratitude that can be built when you're not born into a certain amount of opportunity and you finally get it, you're going to go all out and grab it. But they take it for granted. And yeah, and just even those conversations gives me understanding, okay, this is just the way life works. You appreciate something when you don't have it, and when you have it, when you've had it your whole life, you don't appreciate it as much. So that's just understanding of human nature too. I mean, that concept of understanding is so, it works on like a broad spectrum of just life in general. So yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, if we had like more conversations with like different people's perspective, it would probably make the world like a little more. It would make everybody a little more tolerable. But in terms of like being intolerable
Definitely.
to certain things and thinking that you're right, I'd say I'd blame the internet for that sort of thing, because like ironically, the with the concept of the internet, you would think that everybody being so interconnected now, you would have all these different perspectives and everybody would be able to have a real conversation. But given human nature, they have managed to faction themselves off into certain thought bubbles, and they just kind of develop their own ideas within the principal concept of like what their view is. And when two thought bubbles clash, I feel like that kind of just like it just everybody like, why can't you just have a normal conversation of like, oh, why did you think about this, what made you think about that, you know?
Yeah, man, that's that's a fear of mine. I can't remember. I don't know which song I mentioned that. I can't remember which song, but that's a real fear of mine. Like if I ever become famous with music, and let's say I have like 10 million followers, and those are and within those 10 million followers, I'm always being told, "Oh my God, you're so cool. You're this and that. Oh my God, I love you."
Right.
And you start to think that that's how the world thinks of you,
Yeah.
and that can really. I see that with a lot of rappers. Oh, wait, what song is? Oh, For the Fame. For the Fame. I think I talk about it in that. Where like these rappers, actually any celebrity, they get, they have tens of millions of followers, and they think they get caught in that feedback loop where all the followers are telling them exactly everything they want to
Yeah.
hear, and they get confused and thinking that's how the world thinks of them. And as soon as somebody says something that those 10 million followers doesn't say, they look at them as like a bug that needs to be dealt with. Like, how dare you not give me love, or how dare you not go with the millions of followers that follow
Start
me.
calling them
You're like
trolls
a
and shit.
they look at them as outcasts, or anybody that has soon as they hear something a different point of view, or any, even criticism, just like any type of criticism, they feel as if that person needs to be dealt with because they don't share the view of them that their millions of followers do. And I'm really fearful of that. I don't want that happening to me. So I mean that comes with self-awareness, right? But I really don't want that happening to me because that's a scary thing. Because like you will begin to shrink as a person by locking yourself into like a bubble, or like you said, an echo chamber. Like that's I think that's bad for mental health as well.
Yo, we were one of the guys that we had the opportunity to interview earlier this week. In one of his songs, he says, "I don't want yes men. I only want part owners." And it's
Mm.
yo Rasul Made Men. That's the song. But like that, I think that is like a big part of what people don't understand is that they surround themselves with people that are like, "Oh yeah, you can do it. You can do it," rather than like somebody that's gonna constantly challenge you and push you. And like our dynamic, like I'll be like doing something. I'll be like, oh, I'm gonna make a beat. Like last night, I started making beats, and I was like, yo, Mike, I don't think this is good enough. He's like, yeah, bro, you got to keep going, keep going, keep going. And then he's drawing, and it's like, bro, you can do better than that. Like, and then we'll go out, and then he'll just kind of like be doodling or whatever, and I'll be like, and people like start saying, oh, that's so dope, and I'm like, bro, this is him not even trying, bro. I'm like, bro, y'all lame, bro, y'all corny,
Yo,
but
yo, that's a good example though. That's a good example because somebody's praising his like little doodling, and then as if that's the greatest piece of art in the world. That then his standards might get flipped upside down. Like, well, people think this is my best work. I guess I'll if you get enough of that feedback of people saying this is like, oh my God, this is amazing. You start to not even go beyond that standard anymore if you get enough of it, rather than you who might say, "Hey, this is cool. I mean, I've seen better." So they're gonna constantly achieve to go for what's considered better or whatever. So yeah, I mean that was a perfect example. Like that feedback loop is. I mean, it could be scary. I mean, it's always cool to hear like, "Oh man, I love your music. Your music is the best." But you do want to keep that, also a genuine point of view rather than constant praise or whatever. As long as it's genuine, I'm cool with it.
yo, jump into another song on Yeah, yeah. You talk about there's too much turnt music, not enough storytelling. How like
Oh
that?
yeah.
Like that's one of my biggest complaints about music is like, yo, bro, rap started out like everyone was telling their story. Like this is where I'm from. This is what I go through. This is who I am. like those type of things.
Yeah.
This is my social commentary. And I was like, I just popped 20 cents and I'm at the fucking party. And I'm just like, all right, bro. Like, yo, someone's gonna sample that, and then they're gonna get rich, and I'm gonna be like, yo, I should have fucking copyrighted that or something.
Oh man.
But like, but
Yo, yeah, I definitely that's definitely have like, yo, I remember when I first saw Lil Yachty's video, One Night Only. Do you remember? Have y'all heard that song?
yeah, because he blew up off of that because some guy made a meme of it, and boom.
Oh, that's what happened.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yo, when I heard that song, I was like, yo, this quality is horrible. Not the quality of the song, like the recording quality.
Yeah.
It sounded
Yeah.
like he like recorded this outside or something. I was like, man, this quality is horrible. But when I saw the view count, when I saw it, it was like 54 million views. I was like, how the hell did this take off? And I mean, I was like, oh, so I guess people don't hear quality the way I do. I guess sometimes. I mean, it comes with understanding, you know. But when I heard that, I was like, yo, what is going on? I'm not hating on Yachty, but I was so surprised that this song took off the way it did. Like even the auto tune wasn't like done like well. It was it looked like an SNL skit when I saw that video. I was like, oh, but this really took off. And I was like, I was really taken aback by that. I was like, wow, this really.
Yo.
But to talk about when you said the storytelling, yeah. I say I'm doing less punchlines, more storytelling. What what I realize is that punchlines can sometimes get outdated. Like the punchlines that were considered like cool in the 80s or early 90s maybe were like when they first came out, like, yo, that punchline was sick. But if somebody tried to spit their punchline today, you probably like, yo, that punchline is ass. You know, like let's say like I flow like the Nile River. I guess when that first came out, it was like, yo, he said he flows like the Nile River. Like his delivery is like so smooth and it moves in one direction, the current. But it went like if I heard that today, I wouldn't necessarily be amazed by that punchline. But I noticed that storytelling, because stories can like transcend time.
Right.
So like stories will always be relatable. There's always like certain things that would just resonate with certain people regardless of like age or whatever. Like storytellers are just they have more longevity in their effect. So that's why I always try to focus on like stories now. I used to be obsessed with punchlines. Like when I heard No Ceilings, Lil Wayne, like, dude, that punchlines for days. So I used to try to write the best punchlines but now I focus way more on storytelling.
Who are your influences in your songs?
Well, Nas was my first influence. Illmatic. That was my first. That's what first started. While I first started writing. Let's see after that. Drake is definitely an influence. I'm like constantly amazed by his way he approached songs. Let's see. Jay-Z definitely. I mean, it all definitely started from Nas, because I guess I was introduced to him when I was 14. Like my older brother would like hand me and my other brother CDs that he grew up on, and this was when I was like a big fan of like Big Timers, Lil Wayne, and BG, the Everybody Get Your Roll On. I don't know if you know that song. You remember that song? Yeah, I was like bling bling. I was loving all that music, and then when my brother first let us hear all his stuff, I remember I went on my older brother's computer and I was about to work on a project, and I just pressed play whatever he had on it on his Windows Media Player. Jesus Christ, Windows Media, and Illmatic just came on, and I remember just the first track. I don't know what happened, but I just started bobbing my head, and from there I was like a Nas fanatic. And from there I went to listen to Rakim. Then I listened to Jay Z's earliest stuff, Reasonable Doubt. Listened to a lot of AZ. Then from there, I listened to Lupe when he first came out in '06. I was like, I remember watching his. I remember I was about to go to basketball practice, not basketball, football practice, and I remember his video kick push coming on the TV, and I was about to leave the house. And when I saw that video come on, I was just like stuck. I was like, "Yo, what is this? This is amazing!" Kick push, like the sound of the music was like kind of it wasn't a popular sound at that time, and so Lupe is definitely an influence of mine. I think Lupe is the best lyricist in my mind. I mean that dude tremendous when it comes to lyrics. But yeah, Drake definitely, Kanye definitely. College Dropout was the first official CD I've actually bought. Like actually made a mission that day to leave the house, catch the bus, go to FYE and buy that album and just listen to it, you know, that whole day or whatever. Um, but yeah, those are a lot of main influences of mine as far as music.
Yo, a lot of like on your Instagram, it's like all AMV. So would you say that like anime and stuff like that type of culture has also influenced your music?
Um, so nah, as far as influence my music, nah, not necessarily. It doesn't really influence how I write songs. Like I remember, cause I have another Instagram channel where it's just like pictures of me or whatever, like on vacation and shit. But I always wanted to. I remember when I first came across the anime Samurai Champloo. It was the first anime where I saw a mixture of hip hop and anime, and I just the fighting scenes look so cool with hip hop music in the background. I was like, damn, this looks hot as shit. Whoever thought to do this? And that's what I wanted to do. I was like, man, I want to make anime music videos for my music, but I don't know how my followers would have responded on my other Instagram channel to that because I don't know if they're like anime fans. So I was like, man, they're probably gonna look at me as a weirdo if I like make a whole bunch of anime videos out of nowhere. Like, so I was like, man, I might just start a whole new channel where I just go hard with the music and anime, where it's just nothing but anime and music. But I was kind of reluctant at first because I was like, man, I got to start all over with 0 followers. But within a month, it passed my first Instagram channel as far as followers within a month. So I was like, oh, okay, I'm doing something right. And it just looks so cool with the anime and music. Like it looks, I don't know, it's a cool visual. And plus, I hate being in front of the camera. I don't like shooting music videos. I really don't like it. So this is like a cool for my voice to be heard, and I don't have to be seen. Like this actually works out, and all favors.
Yo, what made you decide to make the album 31 songs long? Like that's pretty. It's lengthy. Like it's pretty lengthy. When I first saw, it, I was like, damn, bro, I gotta listen to all this before we interview. All right, bro,
31
bro. And then I was like,
Yo, yeah. Well, a lot of them are just one verses. So
right.
what happened was I will only make the songs one verses because that's his how much Instagram will accept is 1 minute, you know. So I was just like, all right, I'm gonna just make one verse songs, and so I would put them all on SoundCloud. But then a lot of my fans are like, yo, can you put all this music on Spotify? So up to that point when I made a Spotify, I had 31 songs. I was like, all right, well, it's cheaper to just put all the songs on Spotify all at once rather than it's like a 20 or $30 fee from TuneCore to upload as many songs as you want on an album rather than $10 to upload individually. So I was like, I'm gonna just upload all these songs at once on one album and call it Free Think. So it was like it was a way to be cost effective, I guess, to just upload all that at once. But yeah, shout out to my fans though. Yeah, they kept pushing me to put it on Spotify because it's also on SoundCloud. But they really pushed me to put it on Spotify, so and Apple Music. So it just costs less to do all of them at once rather than individually. I know it's a lot of songs too, like 31 songs. Like that sounds crazy.
Do you like? Are you in the midst of working like on a project that's actually like a condensed version of songs that all like everything on the project goes together, but like something that's more like centered around one idea?
Um, yeah, yeah. So I'm working with a producer right now. It's going to be a 6 or 7 track EP, and it's one song that I have called "Nightmares of a Dreamer," and within that song, and he was a big fan of that song, the producer I'm working with. So with that song is about the first verse talks about my fears if I make it. While the popularity, fame, and power consume me, will I develop a drug addict? A drug habit, become an alcoholic? Will I become obsessed with women, become a sex addict? All the fears of being a celebrity, all the temptations of life. And the second verse talks about my fears if I never make it. Will I be that 50-year-old rapper still at open mics? Um, uh, like becoming so obsessed with my music where I can't even afford to pay my bills. I don't have a family. I don't have a relationship because I still think that I can make it overnight. All I need is that one more song. So I try to approach. So what we're doing with this album is that we're um, experimenting with those ideas like much further. Um, so so I have songs where I'm going way more in depth about my fears if I make it. And then I have songs where I'm talking about my fears if I never make it. Like, will I be frustrated? Will I be resentful? You know, bitter for the rest of my life because I'll be that old guy that never achieved his dreams, and I just hate anybody else who does. So I'm definitely exploring that concept with this album. I think we're gonna call it "Time Will Tell" because I think I'm in the middle. I'm in the middle of those two fears right now because right now it can go either way, but right now it's looking good so far. But my you know streams and stuff.
You,
So yeah.
Yo, you were talking about overnight success, and then earlier we were talking about how Yachty kind of he blew up off of a meme, and now he is where he is today. Like, does seeing those type of people like does that fuel you more to go and go harder and go harder and go harder to be like, no, I can make it off merit. I can't. I'm not gonna make it off of a meme. Rather than like, you see it and you're like, yo, what the fuck? Like, I'm over here like busting my ass. Like, what's going on?
Oh man, I used to get frustrated as hell. I used to get real frustrated. But as far as making it overnight, I'm so I'm so glad I haven't like made it like seemingly off of overnight success because you see the people who do make it overnight, they kind of first of all they lack self awareness, so it's hard for them to navigate through the industry
Right.
or to have their own sound or whatever because a lot of people that make it overnight they have like a generic sound, so they can easily get drowned out by other people who have that sound. So there's nothing like there's no reason for them to be searched or and not to be replaced by the next guy who does the same thing. So yeah, as far I used to get real frustrated. I have a song. I have a song called that I made about I guess 6 years ago where I tried to chase that overnight success. It's gonna be hilarious. It's a song called "Booty Bouncing," right? And so what I did, I tried to make a strip club song. I tried to make the most dumb song with the most catchiest, silliest hook. And I literally went on YouTube and looked up strip club type beat. So what I did was it's a song called Booty Bouncing, and then the hook goes like booty bouncing, and then in a chickmunk voice it says on the deck. And this I made a video for it. I got two of my friends to be on the song with me who've never rapped a day in their life, which made it even more funny. And we shot a video for it like a house party. And I was like, yo, this is it, yo. We gonna make it overnight. This is the song. This is during like the Tiger phase where Tiger was making all the strip club songs like Rag City
Yeah.
and all that. So I was trying to make one of those songs. And I remember for the first like 2 weeks, like it got like 5,000 views. Then the views kept going up. I remember I'm from Philly, so I was on South Street one day, and somebody was like, "Yo, booty bouncing." So I was like, "Yo, man, we about to make it! I can't believe we about to make it off of booty bouncing." Yeah, but as you can see, I didn't make it because the views started like slowing down and becoming stagnant after a while, and I was like, man, if I don't make it off of booty bouncing, that was like my I don't know what I'm gonna do, man. Booty bounce, I ain't make it, but I'm so glad I didn't make it off of that song. Because if I made it off of that song, I would have probably kept making those type of songs, thinking that would have like fueled my success. Like, well, I made it off of booty bounce, and I gotta keep making those type of songs, and then I would have easily been drowned out as a one hit wonder or whatever. And you see that with people who make the songs that sound like everything else. Yeah. There's nothing that holds. There's nothing that keeps them grounded. There's nothing that separates them from the pack. So I'm glad I didn't get that overnight success. That I say the quicker you get it would be the quicker that it'll be done with. So I guess the longer I'm taking to build up a solid fan base of like core followers, that really sets me up for longevity and outcome.
So besides the EP, is there anything else like next for you? Like what else are you doing?
I'm about to go to Tokyo next week.
Nice.
And that's like the anime mecca, you know. So what else am I doing? Oh, I do want to. Eventually, me and my brother are working on like an anime show. Because he's an artist. He actually drew the profile picture that I have on my Instagram. And I'm just
okay.
Where did I cut off at? You can hear me?
Yeah, you cut out at the anime show. Your brother drew the profile picture.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I might, because I'm trying to build a story around that character, and I might start off with like making like comic strips of him like acting out my songs or whatever.
Okay.
And hopefully I'll probably be able to do comic book conventions like later down the road. But that's probably like years down the road or whatever. Because I want to. Right now I'm developing a story. So, but that's going to take some time. So
yeah, that's dope.
Eventually, I want to have my own anime show.
Is that why you're going to Tokyo to like grab inspiration for this?
No, my friend invited me because my friend's brother and his brother's wife are going, and he doesn't want to be like alone. So he just asked me to go. So yeah. So he asked me to go, and it kind of we planned this trip before I even made this second Instagram channel. So it's crazy how everything like kind of worked out. Like, damn, I got a whole Instagram channel anime, and I'm about to go to Tokyo.
Oh man.
So I thought that's pretty cool how that sorted itself out.
Yo, well, we really appreciate you coming on, man.
Man, like I said, I appreciate y'all reaching out, man. This is yeah, cause I was thinking for a minute, should I like pay people to interview me? But I was like, no, that's not gonna be genuine. I want people to ask like genuine questions. But if it's authentic, that'll make it that much better to experience. So I really do appreciate y'all reaching out, man. It's I don't know, it lets me know I'm headed in the right direction. So
facts, bro. Is there anything that you want to plug, like both Instagrams, Twitters, Snapchat, whatever? Like, go ahead, shout all of those people out and do all that for us right now.
You can just follow me on Instagram at Monte Music 90. That's MONTE Music 90. That's my Instagram channel, and you can listen to my album on Spotify, on SoundCloud, or Apple Music called Free Think. And it's 31 songs, but I promise you'll enjoy it. And yeah, man. Yeah, like I said, anybody that's listening, thanks for checking me out, and it's much appreciated.